I was the last one repping the Georgia podcast. I was the last one on the boat as everybody was jumping ship. Like I really, I'm excited about Georgia this year. I'm going to make probably make a reckless Georgia's going to win the SEC this year prediction here in a couple of days. But I think that if we're doing like, what have you accomplished? What tools did you have? What kind of results did you get from them? I think that I did end up awarding coaches that recruit less talent, even though, like you mentioned, Bud, there is something to be said for if we're ranking coaches, it's a skill. It's a skill to be able to get everybody pulling in the right direction.
Yeah, I had Kirby at 11 on my ballot, so I had him outside my top 10 as well. And a part of that is, too, it's like I respect the recruiting. Obviously, he's done a fantastic job of revitalizing Georgia's ability to recruit. It's just some point that recruit has to start turning into results. And they did reach the title game the one time, but I think that the results aren't quite at the same level of Georgia's recruiting, because you look at the teams that, they're up there recruiting against and where they're ranked against. Those teams are playing or winning national titles. They're competing for a national title every single year. Georgia hasn't really done that. I feel like Kirby, while he's recruited well, has also held the program back a little bit by his lack of willingness to open things up. And I think that, we had gone into last year hoping we would see more of that. But even last year with JT Daniels, who obviously wasn't 100% to start the season, they were still more conservative. And then they went to Daniels later in the year and the offense opened up a little bit and we started to see some results. So for me, I'm still kind of like, okay, I need to see you kind of do what Saban did, do what other coaches did, adjust. It can't just be about acquiring talent anymore, because there are other teams that have plenty of talent too. You need to be able to out scheme and out coach them on the field as well.
I get all that. I think there's guys you have rated ahead of them who, I don't care how good they can coach, they can't recruit at that level, even if they're out of Georgia, I don't believe. So it's great. If you had the same level of talent, you could win, but you're responsible for getting that level of talent, and recruiting is more important than coaching, in my opinion, in college football. It's not 100-0 as far as on the scale, but who you have as players, it matters, man.
It's talent acquisition.
It is. You are the GM.
What do you think, Bud?
Unless you're Clark Lee.
Do you think exactly, unless you're Clark Lee. Do you think these guys blow you away? What makes them a great recruiter? Is it the backing of getting the boosters all on the same page, or is it blows you away in a living room? Because when I think of Bobby Bowden, I think blows you away in a living room, gets the mom on board, lovable guy. But that's not what I think of as Saban. Now, he does have another side of him where he can absolutely turn that on, and I'm sure Kirby does too. But how hard is it to sell Georgia when you've got this backing, you've got facilities, you've got everything at your fingertips? Some of these other guys might be able to recruit there too. I don't want to make this a bash Kirby. I think it's just, I think it's easier to do your job at a lot of these schools because of the resources that you have at your fingertips.
I agree that it is certainly, easier, but everybody else who you're recruiting against at that level also has those resources. And look at a team that recruits pretty comparably to Georgia in LSU. Right? They won a national title and Georgia went to overtime. Georgia has been a much better team over Kirby's span than they have under Orgeron's span overall. Now, look, LSU's got the rings and flags fly forever. So you can't take that down. But I do think that, look, the living room thing matters a whole lot. Running the whole organization top down, making sure everybody's pulling in the right direction, having the analysts and the scouting staff and understanding the relationships and the connections and staying on there and making sure that you're emphasizing the importance of recruiting. I think there's some coaches on this list who don't care about recruiting to the extent that a guy like Kirby does. So I had him fourth, which is way higher than everybody else, I guess.
Honestly, from a big picture, from a big picture, that's why we send ballots to a lot of people, because I value recruiting less than you do. And that's, we're splitting it up into different buckets here. And that's, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I like part of it. I value recruiting as well. It's just part of my rankings too, is if I gave all of these coaches the same exact team and told them to go win a game with it, there are other coaches I would have more confidence in being able to win the game than I do Kirby.
And no doubt. That to me should be the judge of what makes a great coach. And that's something I think we lose sight of. And it's almost impossible to do because we don't know the inner workings, a lot of these programs sometimes with, who's calling the plays, the staff, and differently. But I think Tom nailed it. That's how it should be had. And I don't think anybody does that to it's almost impossible to do. There's going to be, you have bias toward what you think makes a good team, but that should be it. You are given equal teams who's winning. It's an impossible drill, but I think that's the best way to do the exercise.
I think that's the way to do it if you're evaluating the NFL, because you're not responsible for who's on your roster. But in college, you largely are.
No, I like I said,
I got you.
I do include recruiting. I do include accomplishments. It's just, I think that one of the reasons I can't put Kirby as high as you do, because you're valuing the recruiting more. It's like, I'm looking at it as more of a, I think my blend is more even than yours, is what I'm saying.
I think I'm imagining the Georgia South Carolina game and the coaching malfeasance by both Will Muschamp and Kirby Smart as they were going back and forth, absolutely refusing to win the game. I think it was 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
I believe that's a Jake Fromm like 4 interception game. And and then was it the fake punt in the SEC championship game? I mean, I think if we get a Georgia fan on here, they'll start like rolling out some in-game frustrations from throughout the time where it's like you can get all that talent, but there's still in those high stakes games against the very, very best teams, there's either a call or an adjustment that was or was not made that, and look, this is his first time as a head coach. That's also important to, I think, bring into consideration that I believe that there's probably room for growth and that he's going to be a head coach for a long time. And he might be a better head coach 4 years from now than he is right now.